Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 12th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by the great interrupter, our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discussed.
I never interrupt.
No, quiet. You know what? We got to have before we get started here. We got to now have. We've already put a moratorium on mentioning Manny Diaz. We've put a moratorium on discussing the absolutely outrageous exploitation of five-star athletes that's going on with them signing with non-Power 5 schools for the marketing purposes of the schools. Not everybody agrees with me, but we're not going to talk about it anymore. And we're also going to put a moratorium on interruption because a couple guys are getting a little ornery about the interruptions that are taking place on this show, and they're demanding that we conduct ourselves with better decorum, Matt Shodell, and we're going to try not to interrupt. We're going to do a better job of allowing each other to speak. So here we go. The better behaved Matt and Gary. Good morning, CaneSport show. Let's get to it. It's about recruiting, really, today. And I think that what you're going to see is the lure, L-O-R-E, not lure, L-U-R-E, because there will be a lure to Mario Cristobal, but the lore of Mario Cristobal is going to continue to grow with each recruiting weekend. And a couple interesting things surfaced in the last 24 hours or so. The first was during the national championship game. Mario did I forget what they called it, but he did a thing with Fox Sports where he had a conversation during the game with Fox Sports, and Kayvon Thibodeau, his absolutely spectacular defensive end from Oregon, was on the show, and they were just engaging in conversation. And if you haven't seen the videos from it, make sure we've got them posted on the message boards and stuff, and make sure you take a look, because Kayvon Thibodeau gave the most ringing endorsement of a head coach that you will ever see in your life in talking about Mario Cristobal. And he talked about the home visit where his mom absolutely fell in love with Mario. And basically, and remember, this kid was the number one recruit in the country, okay? So they're going into his home in Southern California, and they're hoping to, just be in the picture. And before they left the home on that home visit, the mom basically asked Mario to step outside for a few minutes and the coaches, and then she brought them back in and she told them, we're going with you guys. And he did. He signed with Oregon, and was just an amazing recruiting accomplishment at that stage in time for Mario Cristobal at Oregon. Matt, I know I'm getting long-winded. Thank you for being disciplined. So that segues into a story that we have on the website today. Matt looks horrified. A story... Don't interrupt. A story that we have on the website today about a kid in Missouri, of all places, who he's a defensive end by the name of Chandaquin Bradley, a 2023 kid from Missouri, who was on the phone with Mario Cristobal the other day when Cyrus Moss was at the All-American game in San Antonio announcing that he was coming to Miami. And just a hysterical recollection of that experience, and how cool it was that Mario Cristobal was recruiting him at the same time that this other elite defensive end was committing to the school. And Matt, now it's your turn. Your thoughts just on a story like that and the craftiness of Mario Cristobal, the recruiter, and how he makes kids feel special when he has the opportunity.
Well, kudos on your name pronunciation. I didn't catch most of what you were saying. I was reading a really interesting story. Apparently, did you know fish, when they sleep, they still are swimming? It was fascinating. I was enraptured by that. I don't know what you were talking about over the last 25 minutes. Hopefully, it was Miami Hurricanes related. As for the gentleman you were speaking about and the story that I wrote about him, it was a very interesting interview. It was actually the first time I can remember ever talking to a recruit who was on the phone with a coach that was getting a commitment from another recruit announced at that time. It was super weird hearing him tell it. And the kid's a super nice kid. He didn't know it was anything really out of the ordinary. I had to actually, he brushed over it when he first mentioned it. I just said, how, like I ask all these kids, I asked, walk me through how you got the Miami offer. And then he just goes on this 5-minute story that included that. He says, this coach texted me. Apparently, he was supposed to talk to Mario earlier, but he had a friend who was announcing at the All-American Bowl, so he didn't want to be on the phone with Mario himself while his friend was announcing. God forbid. He didn't realize Mario had his own player announcing, but after his friend announced, then he called, or whatever, he said, Mario can call me now. I don't think they're allowed to call the coaches technically themselves as 2023 kids. So he texts, hey, you can, can I call you now or whatever? And then he calls them. And Mario's not going to not answer. This is the thing that's great about Mario Cristobal. If it's he who can't be named, a former coach at the University of Miami, could be any number of coaches, but Gary apparently can't hear the name again or his head explodes. If he who can't be named was the coach, I'm not sure he takes the call. Mario Cristobal, this is a guy who we had a recruit tell us at 5 a.m. he was heading to his workout. He figured he texted something to Mario real quick. He didn't think Mario was going to answer or respond until 9 or 10 a.m. Mario responds right back. Mario's handing out offers at midnight. So it's probably not surprising to anybody that, unlike he who can't be named, Mario Cristobal had no problem being on the phone with another recruit, handing him out basically the kid knew he was getting an offer because Dennis Smith told him he was getting an offer before that, but giving him the official offer from the head coach. And then basically the conversation goes on. The kid commits because they're both watching on their own TVs. So the kid knows, oh, Cyrus was committed to you, coach. Congratulations. And all of a sudden, I guess you can hear the call waiting, clicking on the other line. As he says, Mario's phone just started blowing up immediately. And after a minute, Mario's like, listen, this kid's family is like calling me like crazy. I should probably go take this call, And the kid's like, okay. But what better message to a recruit you want from out of state than to show how much of a priority that kid is, that you don't mind talking to him when one of your top prospects who you work so hard to land is announcing a decision, which Mario obviously knew he was coming, but still, he's announcing his decision. It's a time to celebrate. He who can't be named in that staff will be jumping into the ocean and videotaping it to show the world how excited they were. And it's great. And by the way, I also appreciate them not sending out a million different tweets about how great the program is and the new Miami and, all these crazy messages like bombs going off or whatever the hell they used to do. Like, this is professional now. It's like Alabama. When Alabama gets a touchdown, when Alabama gets a turnover, when Alabama gets a sack, they don't dance and celebrate like they just won the Super Bowl. They go back and run the next play. And that's what this staff is doing. This is a professional staff. They know what they're doing. They know what it should look like. They don't celebrate every time something happens that should happen. I'm out.
All right. Fortunately, that was some pretty good dialogue by you, and I was able to maintain my discipline. But look, the bottom line is this, that slowly but surely the level of recruiting that's taking place in the program is going up. And we already started to see it in the early signing period with a couple pretty good commitments that would not have been there had there not been a coaching change. We're expecting to see more of it here with transfers now coming into play. And then the last few weekends of recruiting are without question going to be really, really interesting. So a couple other stories on the website today. Jack Pyburn, get to know that name. He's a kid from Jacksonville that had been committed to Minnesota, who now has reopened his recruitment. A lot of schools are going after him, and Miami's among them. And Miami's got a great shot here. And this is a kid that was probably a little bit under the radar, and Minnesota did a great job of identifying him. And now it's game on, and we're going to see how Miami does there. But he is hearing daily from Mario Cristobal and Coach Salavea, and they're doing a really good job with him. And you can read about it on the website. I don't want to give away the whole story, but I think you'll be encouraged by what you hear about Jack Pyburn. Another story on the website today. 4-star kid from American Heritage, a DB. You're used to those guys being pretty darn good. We'll see how things evolve with Damon Fagan, but he is also being contacted daily by Miami. And Matt, the theme here is I don't think we're going to hear kids complaining that days and weeks are going by and they're not hearing from Miami anymore. If Miami wants a kid, the kid's going to know it.
I'll dispute that a little bit, only because they've offered so many kids. There's not enough. I know Mario Cristobal works 24/7, whatever, but they're going to have to prioritize at some point. I haven't counted, but they have to have given out, I think they're averaging at least 5 offers a day since they took over. 150, 200 offers have gone out. You can't, no matter who you are and what the staff is, you still have to prioritize. So you give out the offer. It'll be better than it was under He Who Can't Be Named, in the sense that those guys would just give out an offer and they would never hear from the coaching staff again. I don't even know why you bother giving out the offers. But I think here what they're doing is they're giving out the offer. They're gauging the interest level when they give out that offer, because they haven't, at this point, had a chance to really talk to these kids. So they're not just saying, here's an offer, congratulations. They're talking to the kids for 20, 30 minutes. They get a sense. Like, there's a kid we talked to. He says he doesn't really want to leave home. He got an offer, but he doesn't want to really leave home. But at the same time, he really enjoyed the conversation with Miami. Well, you better believe Miami coaches get the message, right? And they're going to track kids that they can get, that they want to get, and those are the ones they'll focus on. So I think moving forward, I think it's a great strategy that when you offer, you have a half-hour conversation with the kids. So you sort of get a sense where they're at. Do they know anything at all about Miami? If they don't, probably not a great sign. If they know the history of the program, if they know some of the greats that have come out of Miami, you're already ahead of the game a little bit. If they say, oh, here's 3 coaches, 3 schools I already know I like a lot, coach, and I visited all 3 of them already, you're a little behind the 8 ball. So you get a sense talking to some of the kids how much they like Miami, where they visited, where they stand on, hey, this is a kid I got to really chase hard, or this is a kid we can get back to in a month and see where he is there, because there's a lot of time left. And regarding Jack Pyburn also, you read between the tea leaves a little bit, and he has 10 different schools are trying to get him to come visit in January. And he says there's only 2 he knows he's going to visit for sure, and that's Miami and Auburn. So it seems to make sense to me that those are probably the 2 leaders right now. He says Minnesota's out of it, even though he was committed there. So again, I think it comes down to these visits with a lot of these kids. We're going to have a lot of coverage of the visits that are coming up. The dead period's over, starting on Friday. One of the kids told us, I think it was Matthew McCoy. Yeah, Matthew McCoy said he already has heard there's 9 schools coming in just to see him on Friday at school, and then he's going to go somewhere after school on Friday. So he says I think it's going to be kind of awkward, right? Because he's a high school kid, and he's picturing these different coaches sort of fighting in the hallways. I don't know what he expects. Like, if this is going to be what's that Karate Kid remake? If it's going to be like that out in the hallways with well, what's it called? It's called oh my gosh, Cobra Kai. But believe it or not, my wife and my son, who's 18, they watch Cobra Kai together. I tried to watch it. It's the dumbest show I've ever seen.
As long as they don't practice on you afterwards.
You just interrupted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't mind getting interrupted at all. Unlike you, I don't mind getting interrupted. I think it's fine. But I watched.
Right, well, then let me just throw something in that I've been chomping at the bit to throw in here for the last minute. Yeah. In that, I think the thing you got to remember is they have 7 coaches in the building now. So the resources are starting to come into play, and I think that enables them to do a better job of contacting kids and spending a little more time on the phone with those kids. They're not game planning. There's not much going on. I'm sure the new coaches are looking at some film of their players from last year and getting a feel for personnel. But I got to think that at this time of year, the bulk of their time is being spent on recruiting, and I think that's part of why we are seeing a different level of attention on individual recruits. Well, my point is, if they've given out this many offers without a full staff, I mean, they're going to give out 300 more offers in the next 2 months. I'm just saying, it's fine. And the weird thing is, one of the recruits, I can't remember who, one of the recruits told me recently, he says that, oh, actually, I'm sorry, it was the same kid who was talking to Cristobal during Cyrus Moss's announcement. I don't think we put this in the story. I don't think we did. Maybe we did. Oh yeah, it's in the story. He said that Mario told him, we're not giving out a lot of offers. So if that's not a lot of offers, I can't wait to see when they actually start giving out a lot of offers, because I think
they're going to have to offer every single kid in the country, because if this is not a lot of offers, I don't know what it looks like to give out a lot of offers.
All right. So another story on the website today is that I think is really interesting is a young quarterback, Tyler Aronson. He's a 2024 kid. He transferred from Benjamin School in Palm Beach County, which those of you who don't know Benjamin School, it's really an elite academic institution, quite frankly. It's a private school. It's a place where a lot of money people send their kids to get a great education, get the foundation to go to really good colleges and that sort of thing. He has transferred from this elite Benjamin School to St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. And obviously he's going there for the opportunity to be QB1 for the next 2 years. And Matt, I thought that was really interesting. You know, we see kids transfer and that sort of thing, but I mean, this is a kid going from North Palm Beach to Central Broward. I don't know if do we know if his family's moving? I don't even remember if we know his family's moving or what the deal is. But he's going to St. Thomas to be their quarterback, and he's a decent prospect. I'm not convinced yet that he's Miami level. We'll see how it goes here over the next season or two. But he's a very good high school quarterback, and St. Thomas obviously in need of a quarterback, and they got this kid to come in. The transfer portal is alive, Matt, in the high school ranks.
Yeah, a lot's going to depend on the new coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and what they decide, because they haven't really handed out any offers, I think, since I think the only offer they gave out was maybe Dante Moore from Detroit, if I remember correctly, for a quarterback. I mean, they just got to wait and see. But I agree with you. I don't know that this kid's Miami caliber at all.
And he's 2024. They got plenty of time.
Yeah, they got plenty of time. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, 2024. Yeah, so I'm talking about 2023 now. And, of course, they have to look at 2024 after that. And, there's also a great kid from Pace they'll have to look at. You know, there's some talent at quarterback in 2024 for sure, even locally. But as it pertains to switching schools, this is nothing new. Ever since they allowed transfers with no reason, you used to have to provide fake documents, right? I remember having coaches complain to me. Their kids would leave and they'd say, he found an uncle who lives within 3 miles of the school, or whatever the limit is. I don't even remember anymore. So now that's his, all you need is a mailing address with a piece of mail with your name on it or something, and you can go to that school. So kids were living with cousins and uncles and saying they were living with these people or that people, and the FHSAA, whatever, just did away with that. So now you just go wherever. And yeah, if St. Thomas calls and says, hey, we want you to be our starter, I don't know that many people would say, nah, I'm going to stay at my tiny little school. I'm good.
Well, I mean, Tyler Aronson, the new face of St. Thomas Aquinas offense, and it'll be interesting to see how he does starting with this next season. All right. Also on the website today, we've got a story about how the Canes are number 8 in the early polls coming out for next year. People are giving a lot of respect with Tyler Van Dyke coming back with so many weapons on offense. They think this Hurricane football team under Mario Cristobal's hopeful improvement could be a serious force in college football next year. I don't think anyone's going to predict them to win at Texas A&M or at Clemson, but it looks like they're going to predict them to win just about every other game. So, that's kind of interesting that the Canes are being so well respected. A couple other notes. The Hurricanes basketball team played Florida State last night. We were absolutely crucified the last 2 days for talking about basketball too much. So Matt Shodell and I are going to skip basketball conversation right now. But if you are interested in this surging Canes basketball team that is captivating the ACC this year, and you don't want to be left out, you could check out the story about last night's Florida State game. And then the other thing I want to throw out, because this came up after we did Good Morning CaneSport yesterday, our main man, John Ruiz, a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show, is finally writing. I mean, he's writing checks, okay, or at least he's signing contracts to write checks. In this case, he did a $50,000 NIL deal with Gilbert Frierson, Matt. And you've been looking for John Ruiz to put his money where his mouth is, essentially, for several weeks now. And I've been saying, have patience. I really get the feel that this is legit, that he's really going to start doing some things. And here you go, man. I'm not quite sure how Gilbert Frierson got to the head of the class on this, but 50 grand, Gilbert Frierson. And John Ruiz told me when I spoke to him yesterday that he's got $10 million allocated for NIL deals with Miami players. Pretty good.
Finally, he listens to me. Everyone should listen to me. I literally said, this was a couple weeks ago. I said, John Ruiz, if you're watching the show, forget the stadium. They don't need it. They need NIL money. That's the future. That's what will make this program
$10
great.
million is not going to negate the stadium. The stadium, he's not going to stop talking about the stadium. He can walk and chew gum. They're not mutual. They're not like interconnected. He can do both.
That's wonderful news. Whatever money you're spending on the stadium, John Ruiz, put it into NIL. I don't need stadium money. Miami doesn't need a stadium. They need NIL money. That's what I'm trying to say. So every cent that you have docketed away for the stadium, throw the gum on the floor and let Gary step on it. You can just walk. You don't need to chew gum and walk at the same time. Forget the gum. Throw it at Gary. Just walk with your money right to the Miami Hurricane players and give it to them, okay? Because that is what will basically lure recruits. When recruits see every Miami Hurricane making $50,000 a year because they're promoting John Ruiz's whatever the hell that medical thing is. I don't know what that has to do with football, but whatever. When, if he actually comes through and actually gives Gil money and signs up some other players and actually gives them money, like, I know you said he's writing the checks. Like, I want to see show me the money. Isn't that the thing?
He's at least signing contracts to write the checks.
So show me the money, do it with multiple players. And if every starter on the Miami Hurricanes can get 50 grand from John Ruiz, I think Miami will have a lot of 5-stars coming their way in the future.
That's only a little over 1 million. He says he has 10 million allocated.
You need more than that. You need more than that.
No, but I'm saying giving every starter 50 grand is only $1 million.
Yeah, well, okay.
So that's a slam dunk based on what he's talking about. I think you're going to see Tyler Van Dyke maybe get $1 million.
Right. You need to
make a statement.
I'm saying a start. A start is every starter automatically gets 50 grand to promote you. And then, of course, there's going to be starters who need way more than that. 10 million is not enough. I mean, if he wants to throw his money away, this is a great way to do it.
Who would have thought that Dan Lambert's $500,000 investment in NIL would become obsolete at Miami? Now that $6,000 a player to every player on the roster isn't looking like a lot of money when you're talking about a guy giving guys 50 grand. And I'm telling you, you're going to see Tyler Van Dyke get a big deal because these guys that are putting this NIL together are going to want to make a statement that if you come to Miami and you are an elite player and you perform, you're going to be set for a long time financially. And it's absolutely amazing to see this taking place at the U. I mean, it's so removed from everything that's gone on here for 40 years that I've been around the program, and it's just amazing to watch. But it's fun, no lie on that. So it's a lot of fun. So Matt,
the only thing that's a little weird to me with Mr. Ruiz is that he can't seem to get out of his own way. It's almost. Remember back in the day when you had these, what were they called, carnival barkers or snake oil salesmen? It just, unfortunately, it reminds me of that, where he's responding to people on Twitter who have like no followers, who, God forbid, they criticize him.
That was awesome. I enjoyed that.
Awesome. It was awesome.
Like an old-fashioned wrestling match, man.
I just can't picture, I'm trying to think of.
Real quick.
You're gonna put it up.
I don't know if I'm gonna have time to put it up, but I want.
I mean, can you picture the people on Shark Tank responding to every little person on Twitter criticizing them? I don't think that would happen.
I want to see if I could find that.
I don't think Richard Branson is worrying about the little Twitter people. So what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't make sense to me. A, why he's constantly on Twitter saying weird things. B, he's filed a lawsuit involving Gil Frierson and Sal Stewart over at Westminster to try and be able to, I guess, sign them to long extensions, which it just seems to me like it's a lot of promotion. And I'm not sure, I guess he's maybe somebody said he's trying to go public with a company. And so maybe he's trying to get his name out there and get publicity for the company and make money off when it goes public. I don't know. But it just seems there's some weird ulterior motive that people aren't talking about, because it makes no sense unless I don't know. He came out of nowhere and now he's constantly on Twitter. So I don't know. The whole thing's a little nuts to me. I can't wrap my head around it, but go ahead and put up whatever you're putting up, Gary.
I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to make a
the one where he says you only have 24 followers, loser, or something like that.
Yeah. It's awesome. I need about another minute.
Awesome. It's weird, dude. That's weird.
No, this is awesome.
It's weird for a billionaire to say that to somebody.
I need another about another 20 seconds, and I'll have this up on the screen. And I think people are going to really, really, really like it because it was very entertaining. So go ahead, give me a little more commentary about.
I'll tell you. Listen, I'll tell everybody a little story about Jaleel Florence. Right, Jaleel Florence is visiting Miami this weekend, officially visiting with 2 other guys, and I've never had this happen. How many years I've been doing this, Gary?
20 or so, right?
I think over 20.
Yeah.
I was back here. I was with Butch Davis when I started. But anyway, I've never, ever had this happen. So I talked to Dave Iuli. Dave's telling me, oh, yeah, Jaleel Florence is visiting with me. Okay, great. I called Jaleel Florence. No answer. Texted him. No response. A few hours later, I reached out again because that's what we do. We're reporters. I said, on my text, I said, listen, if you have time to talk, let me know. No response. The next day, I tried to call him again. And I didn't even text him. I just called him once. And Jaleel Florence texts me back. He says, I'm blocking you. I'm blocking your number. I said, Jaleel. I said, this is the USC coach. No problem. No, I didn't say that. I should have said that. I said, just tell me you don't want to talk. Like, I don't understand that. That's sort of weird, right? But so what I'm trying to tell people is we may not have a story on Jaleel Florence this Sunday when he finishes his visit. I don't know that he actually blocked me, but I'm scared to even call or text him now. So Jaleel Florence, if you're watching this, you have to call me. And maybe I blocked your number, Jaleel. I blocked your number before you blocked my number, Jaleel. I'm blocking you.
You'll have to call him from the burner phone.
I don't know what's going to happen. Listen, we're just out here to promote the kids and not harass them. Like, that's what was so weird to me. This has never, ever happened to me before. Because when I call a kid, the first thing, if they answer or respond to text, I say, is this a good time? What's a good time to call you? Whatever. I know some reporters just if they answer the phone, they start asking questions. That's not what I do. I say, hey, is this a good time? You have a couple minutes to talk. If they say no, I say, okay, what's a good time? Or let me know you're not doing interviews. We've had plenty of kids in the past tell us, I'm laying low, I'm not doing interviews. And then we'll check back a few weeks later, like, hey, let us know when you're doing an interview again. Like, we can't force a kid to talk. And even if we could, it would be a horrible interview. It would make no sense. So anyway.
All right, let me get this up on the screen.
All right, you found it.
Yep, here it is. All right, so Mr. Ridiculous starts the conversation saying, so you started this BS company just this year, and the Sunbiz shows that it's inactive. So that means that Mr. Ridiculous went into the state directory of corporations and looked up John Ruiz's
which is easy to do, by the way.
Yeah, very easy to do. What's it called? Life check or
his platform?
Yeah, what's the name of the company? It's
oh my gosh, hold on.
All right, well, while you're looking that up, anyway. So he says, you're a shyster, John Ruiz.
Life Wallet.
Yeah, Life Wallet. You're a shyster, John Ruiz, and Mario Cristobal should stay away from you. I mean, this is unbelievable, right? All right, so an hour later, John Ruiz sees this Mr. Ridiculous's statement, and he says, keep trying. Maybe one day you will @get whatever. I'm not quite sure why the @ symbol was in there. You will get something right. Hold on, your DID, Mr. Ridiculous, whatever that's supposed to mean. I suppose you're trying to get more than 26 followers. He looked up how many followers Mr. Ridiculous had. I mean, this guy's ripping me. Oh my God. How many followers does this guy have? This could be a problem. And he sees that it's 26 followers and he ridicules Mr. Ridiculous. Maybe one day you're going to get more than 26 followers. Go do something constructive with your life. Responded to expose exactly what people shouldn't do. Be positive. Life is about helping.
Gary, let me ask you. You do PR for a living. That's you have a company that specializes in PR aside from CaneSport. Would you ever advise one of your clients to do that on Twitter? Be honest. There's no way. It makes him sound crazy.
I don't know, man. That I'm a big believer in defending yourself, but I don't know. I found that to be pure comedy. I don't know. I'm not as skeptical of John Ruiz, and I admit I could end up getting burned down the road. I'm not as skeptical as some other people are. I do think he's going to write checks. I do think he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to build $1 billion stadium that seems like a lot. But like, I do think that he's going to help with NIL. I think he was involved in luring Mario here. You know, I've sat down with the guy. I felt like I got to know him a little bit. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, it seems to me like he's legitimately trying to help people, and you know, maybe he really did just come into $20 billion, and he wants to use some of it to do great things. You can't spend that kind of money. If Matt, if you take $20 billion and you give it to Goldman Sachs, or you know, let's say Goldman Sachs, they're going to make you 10% on your money. You're going to have $2 billion a year to spend. Like, you're going to, no, this is the God honest truth. If they're investing $20 billion, they're going to make you 10% on your money. They're going to almost guarantee you 10% on your money. You're going to have $2 billion a year in spending cash.
Listen, whoever's giving you your 10%, get it out now, because it's a pyramid scheme. Secondly, my understanding, and I've talked to people who peripherally know,
Goldman Sachs is not a pyramid scheme.
I don't think Goldman Sachs doesn't guarantee anyone 10%, Gary.
I bet you they do if you have that kind of money.
No, they don't. Anyway.
What do you think they guarantee?
I don't think they guarantee anything.
Well, if I'm Mr. Billionaire,
do a municipal bond tax free, they'll tell you what the percent return is.
But if you're a billionaire and you take your account to Goldman Sachs, you're not doing it to make 2%.
I'm not talking about economics with you, but Goldman Sachs is not going to lose money because they only made 1% and they're promised the guy 10%. Okay. Anyway,
no, because they'll take a percentage of that 10%. But and that's how they make their money. But I'm just saying, like, if you have $20 billion, you're going to make you got a lot of spending money. Let's put it that way. You're not worried about your little $10 million NIL, your little NIL slush fund over here on the side.
I don't need the economics lesson, but I will tell you, talking to people that peripherally know John Ruiz, supposedly, I don't know if it's true, I don't want him to sue me in addition to the NCAA, supposedly, according to these people, this is hearsay. They say it's not real money, that he's trying to go public with some company.
They're hanging on stuff that happened in Homestead 10 years ago.
No, that's not what they're talking about. They're saying, I don't know if it's Life Wallet or something else, but supposedly there's something that is out there. I don't know if something's pending where he's going to make a fortune, but it may or may not happen. And if it happens, he's a billionaire. And if it doesn't happen, he's like us, not like us, richer than us. But you know what I'm saying? So, you know, this could be part of the whole promotional thing. I don't know. This is what people are telling me. I have no idea.
He's doing a lot of promotion.
I think the promotion is because he's trying to go public with some company, or there's some lawsuit involved in something or another. Somebody said a lawsuit's involved. I don't know. I don't want to get involved in it. People tell me the guy.
I'm captivated by the guy.
Some people say shady,
this guy's like Robin Hood. He's like Robin Hood to me.
But I'm very interested to see what happens, because I think
I'm captivated by all this. I mean, just all the media and the social media, and you know, going on Twitter Spaces and things like that. I mean, this guy like can do anything, and this is
He's entertaining, that's for sure.
Oh my God! I mean, it's awesome. And listen, if Gilbert Frierson and his family can, you know, have it a little bit better this next year with this extra $50,000 that just came in, all the power to John Ruiz and doing great things for some of these kids and their families, participating in NIL, helping the program. To me, if it plays out that way, it's a win-win-win. If it ends up that he's not real, I don't know that anybody's any worse for the wear, you know, quite frankly. I mean, you know, if Gilbert Frierson only collected 25 of his 50, and he ended up, you know, having to sue John Ruiz for the other 25, he still got 25, and he's better off than he was. So we'll see what happens here. You know, we're not going to sit here and
let me tell you something that could be worse. The NCAA is already getting involved, saying that some Miami players didn't uphold their end of NIL deals, and trust me, they are looking like the gravy train for the NCAA is John Ruiz, who sued them. And if they can get back at John Ruiz, they will do it in a second. If they find a problem at Miami with John Ruiz, they will bring the hammer down. And that's what concerns me more than anything, honestly.
I will agree that they better have good contracts, and that these kids better learn that when you sign a contract and it has terms, you have to live up to the terms. If you're supposed to send tweets every week, you got to send tweets every week. If you're supposed to do Instagram posts, you got to do your Instagram posts. If you're supposed to make an appearance or talk to somebody or whatever that NIL deal is, and you sign a contract to do it, I think the kids need to learn that what a contract is, and they should honor their deals. But beyond that, I think it's great. They're getting a little money, and I don't feel comfortable debating the legitimacy of John Ruiz because nobody has any idea.
No, that's what I'm saying. Some people say this, some people say that.
I've been doing interviews and stuff a long time. I sat with the guy for 40 minutes or so. I thought I was listening to a guy that sincerely wants to do good things, and until he proves me wrong, that's going to be my commentary.
Let me not to interrupt because I didn't interrupt, but let me chime in. It's a good sign that he did the interview because, believe it or not, way back when, you assigned me to do a story on a booster named Nevin Shapiro, and thank God we never did that story. But the reason we never did that story wasn't because we found out he was shady. It was because he wouldn't talk to us. And I'm sure the reason he didn't want to talk to us. And I had I would call him a friend, but it was more of a neighbor / friend who was friendly with Nevin Shapiro, who was basically the go-between for me to try and get an interview with Nevin Shapiro, who was this recluse who never did interviews. And Nevin refused to do the interview, which, thank God, I don't want my name associated writing a story about Nevin Shapiro.
11 months with Yahoo Sports. 11 months.
Exactly.
With Yahoo Sports.
But so my point is, Nevin Shapiro was dumb enough to do what he did, but smart enough to realize, hey, I probably shouldn't talk to the media. Huh?
Think everybody remembers that, Matt?
Remembers what?
That 11-month Nevin Shapiro story that essentially put Miami out of business.
By Robinson, of course. Of course, I remember it. But my point is, Nevin Shapiro was smart enough not to do an interview. I don't think John Ruiz is an idiot. So the fact he's doing an interview makes me feel at least he's more legitimate than Nevin Shapiro. I don't know what that says, but he's definitely more legitimate than Nevin Shapiro. For sure. Don't tweet at me. Don't tweet at me, John Ruiz. Don't tweet at me. Don't be mad at me. I'm sorry. It was a joke.
He will eat you for lunch, man. He will eat you for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe after your wife has practiced her kung fu on you first. So.
Yeah, you ruined my whole story about Cobra Kai in the hallways at Matthew McCoy's school. That was great of you to interrupt for that story. That was going to be great. Matthew McCoy has this image of coaches fighting over him in the hallways. I mean, I love that. That's what he was telling me. He's like, it's going to be so awkward. I'm like, I was thinking, I didn't say, but I'm like, dude, they do it all the time. Like, this is business for them. This isn't attack each other and the last man standing gets Matthew McCoy. It's not Cobra Kai. It's business.
All right. Well, we're done with business for today. That's going to do it today for Good Morning CaneSport. Hope everybody has a wonderful.
I interrupted you. I'm so sorry. I interrupted just now. My bad.
Oh my God.
My bad. I had to do it once.
Have a great day.
I had to do it once.
Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, everybody.